Good evening. Welcome to the City of West Miami. Today is a special commission meeting, public hearing for the tentative budget, and today is Monday, September the 8th, 2014 at 7:40. For the Pledge of Allegiance,
Lieutenant Delgado.
Lieutenant, a pleasure to see you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Be seated. Oh,
Special meeting. This is a
special meeting.
Okay, did I say?
I'm following the order of the agenda. I have a script. Roll call, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, roll call. Commissioner Luciano Suarez is excused this evening. Commissioner Rhonda Rodriguez.
Present.
Commissioner Candida Blanca.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Juan Blanes is running late. He'll be here in about 15 to 20 minutes. And Mayor Eduardo Mujina.
Present.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. With that, we can go right into the next item, which is item 3.
Item 3, citizen presentation. No presentations, Mr. Mayor.
Well, I do have one. I want to welcome Mr. Frank Bocanegra for County Court Judge. You want to come up to the podium, please?
Circuit Court.
Circuit Court.
That's
Good
correct. I'm sorry.
Yes. Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, commissioners, fellow citizens. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Frank Bocanegra. My wife is there, Maite. She and I grew up in Miami. We live not too far from here in the Gables. I was a police officer for 30 years, retired as a police major from Miami-Dade Police. I then became the town manager of Miami Lakes, and finally the state of Florida said, you have to retire, it's time. So I retired and I did some private work, but I wanted to continue in public service. And so I wanted to continue practicing law. And so that's what I've been doing, helping people that of low income. And I was asked, why didn't you go to the state attorney's office? I said, well, that's what I did for 30 years. I wanted to get the other side. I wanted to get balance, because I think that's what a judge needs. A judge needs to be balanced. A judge needs to be fair. A judge needs to leave his emotions and his feelings at home and rule on the law, not legislate from the bench, which unfortunately sometimes judges do. That's why we have legislators. So I'm running for county court judge. I feel that I prepare my entire career for this moment, and I have a lot to give. My wife and I have deep roots in, like I said, in this community. We've raised our children here. Between her and I, we have 5 children and 6 grandchildren. So we love this community, and I ask for your support. I ask for your support on the runoff. There's a runoff on November 4th, and I really need everybody's help. So thank you so very much for having me here. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Yes, absolutely.
I have known Mr. Bocanegra for quite a while, professionally. I don't know that one of the issues, at one point, I was the chairman of the Judicial Nominating Committee, and the lawyers came to me when there was a vacancy, and they wanted to be selected for the appointment for the judge. And I believe that Frank has had the experience and the temperament deserving of our votes. I think that Frank is one of the best lawyers that I know in town, and he really deserves the opportunity to become a judge.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney. And once again, welcome to the City of West Miami. At this time, I would like to acknowledge that Vice Mayor Blanes has joined us. Thank you.
I apologize for being late.
That's quite all right. Item 4, next item.
Item 4, special meeting agenda items. Item 4A, presentation of structure tutoring program of the West Miami Recreation Center by Commissioner Rodriguez.
Commissioner Rodriguez.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. First of all, thank
Could
you.
you, I'm
Oh.
sorry, could you turn on the mic so we can pick up the recording?
That would help.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your patience and all the deferrals I've asked for, and thank you for the opportunity to bring this idea before you for your consideration. I went to Ms. Aguilera a while back with an idea of a tutoring program. Very simple, just some thoughts. And with her help and Jim's help and the attorney's help, they worked very hard, and I think we now have something that I am proud to present to you for your consideration. We would very much like to start a structured tutoring program. There's a memo here, but I'm just going to go over some of the highlights for the sake of the citizens. We're looking to do a structured tutoring program at the Rebecca Sosa Multipurpose Facility. It'll take place during the after-school time. We're looking at doing reading and math. We're going to call this like a pilot program. Hopefully it'll be extremely successful and we can venture onto other subjects. But I would like to start small. I want to be sure that, we can get something that's going to work and hopefully have the problem of having to expand. What we're looking at doing is having Dade County certified teachers be our tutors. And we're looking at running this over the entire after-school during the school year. It's going to be approximately 112 tutoring sessions. We're looking at doing this 7 sessions for 7 4-week sessions, which will run from hopefully October 7 through May 28, so the entire school year. We're going to be looking at doing reading and math. We're going to have two classes twice a week. So we'll be running from grades 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and 6th. And they'll be broken up according to their age group. Unfortunately, though, it costs money. So that's why I'm here tonight to ask you guys. We are going to have to, with your consideration and approval, use money from reserves to get the pilot program off the ground. Once it's off the ground, we are very confident that we can get grants, but we have to show a successful program. We have a lot of parents interested. I believe we had either 35 or 39 positive, 37 responses. Jim sent out a survey. We had 37 responses, ranging, they wanted different things, but we took the meat of it, which was reading and math. So with that said, Jim actually is going this week with Robert to talk about maybe getting a grant looking into a grant for the next school year. We have to start now to get grants for the next school year. That's why I'd like to look at using the reserves this month. What I'd like to do is just take the taxpayer money and put it back into good use for our children, for education. I think parents, for one, growing, when my kids were young, I had to drive to take them to tutoring, to private tutoring, took time and money. So I think for the parents, this just goes without saying. This is a service that I think will be very much appreciated if we can provide tutoring while the kids are already at the after-school program. And we're actually looking into doing a nutritional snack. Jim's trying to work that into our program. I think I covered everything, the highlights, but I'm open to any questions, and if I missed anything important, please jump in.
In addition
No, I believe
to-
that that's quite complete.
Yeah?
Yep.
Perfect.
In addition to what Commissioner Rodriguez is presenting for your consideration, obviously, we would go and find from our own homeschool here at Sylvania Heights, certified teachers that would be willing to come after school and actually conduct the tutoring sessions. We have a meeting that we actually scheduled last week. We have a meeting to see Ms. Reyes on Wednesday, and of course, we didn't want to proceed with the meeting unless the item came to you for consideration and vote of the City Commission. I believe that the program will be successful. I believe that we could
possibly see other categories of instruction added to that, but I believe that if we can hit the ground running and put together a successful program, entities like the Children's Trust will look at us, because the funding through a grant program must be measured by success and by performance of an existing program. Jim and Robert Ruano will be attending a meeting tomorrow in South Dade, because the Children's Trust has published the 2 meetings coming up this week, actually, for the purpose of funding future grants and the window of opportunity that may exist starting this fall for programs as this one. So Mr. Ruano and Jim Gaswicki will be attending the meeting in South Dade, and hopefully we'll get a little bit of a better feel for what they are looking to fund and this is for the cycle that commences August of 2015. So I just wanted to add this. I mean, everything is in motion, but we can't move forward at this point until A, the project is approved, and B, until the funding mechanism is also approved as part of the budget process.
Question, maybe I missed it. How much it will be to jumpstart this? That's what I thought, but
$5,600
Okay.
is what we've estimated. We're looking at 112 tutoring sessions and paying the tutors $25 per hour. So we'll have 2 tutors to
Okay.
cover the groups.
Okay.
If I may add to that, if we complement the after-school tutoring session with a nutritional snack, which Jim is working right now with our caterer to put together a menu selection for the kids, obviously, the commissioner has already donated part of her representation account, what was left there since she was elected recently. I think it's the bulk of the representation account. She has already donated that towards this project for budget considerations. So I think after it's all said and done, I think we'll have a cap of $7,500 as our first year of funding necessities. I want to make sure we have some dollars in case there's school supplies or any material that may become necessary for the actual instruction. So I would say a cap of $7,500, and that would be comprised of the commissioner's representation account donation and $5,000 from your reserves from the recreation center, which has a balance of, give or take, of about $43,000 as of the end of last fiscal year audited.
Okay, well, to me, yeah, to me, it's not, I mean, it's a no-brainer, but I want to hear from the rest of the commission, especially you, Vice Mayor.
I'm in.
You're in?
I'm in.
Good. I'm glad you're in.
What is there not to like?
Yes.
And I'm really glad that you took the initiative to do this. I do appreciate it. I think that's going to be a success. I predict that it's going to be a success and that we're going to be able to get funding for this.
Thank you.
And,
I am open to any suggestions that you might have. Just feed them to the manager, and like I
No,
said, it's, if you have whatever, suggestions, thoughts, definitely I'm open to everything, so that we can make it can be a success. Yeah.
Well, I can tell you that this has been very well thought out.
Thank you, Jim, thank you, Yo, thank you, City Manager, thank you, Mr. Attorney, because
You're welcome.
They did help a lot to get all this on paper and looking the way it does.
Okay, well, you got my blessings, and I'm sure you got the blessing of the board. Now, we have to make it official by, please read the resolution.
Yes, item 4B, resolution of Mayor and City Commission of the City of West Miami authorizing the city manager to implement a structured tutoring program at the West Miami Recreation Center, adopting a program plan for said tutoring, providing for funding mechanism to come from City of West Miami Recreation Center Enterprise Fund, providing for administration of the program, providing for October 1st, 2014 program commencement date by Mayor and City Commission.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, can you call the vote, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Commissioner Rodriguez, how do you
Yes.
vote? Commissioner Blanca?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blanes?
Yes.
Mayor Mujina?
Yes,
4-0, item passes.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. There's a memo, and please excuse the submittal. It was our intention to submit the memo to you on Friday of last week, but some other things basically took up our time, and so we've submitted it. There is a little bit more information as to, a little bit more structured as to where we go from here, to include the process for interviewing potential candidates that are going to be certified teachers from Miami-Dade County Public School System. And again, like Commissioner Rodriguez said, if you have any questions, please do ask, contact me, and we'll brief you every step along the way.
Okay. Next item, I believe
Yes, under public hearing on city budgets, item 4C is the submission of the tentative city budgets for fiscal year 2014-15 by city manager.
Madam Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I want to publicly thank the members of the mayor and the members of the city commission for the time that you've taken during the summer months to sit with us and go through the budget process. I believe this is the most important meetings and the most important obligations that this mayor and this commission have. And so I want to thank you for allowing us the opportunity to sit with you and to explain to you the budget process, and I hope we've done a good job in explaining these to you. Since our submittal, our preliminary budget submittal, which was at the meeting of July 16, 2014, some changes have occurred because of funding issues that we have, and obviously obligations which we expect to see by way of liability insurance, by way of the Alliance for Aging, that fund, the agency that funds our community center, and the decrease. We have some, obviously, some other issues where we have changed otherwise funded categories from people transportation plan, the parking meter revenues. What we're doing is we're bringing those into the general fund, since there are no prohibitions, so that we can help the general fund to meet its obligations. Since then, we have tried to make the necessary adjustments to provide you with a realistic and accurate budget, and we've done so with a brief summary of the changes that have been made to the budget since July 16th through the end of August, which is when we got all of our predictions in terms of what we expect from the vendors who supply a service to the city of West Miami by either insurance and funding mechanisms, and the county, and the cost of increase in dumping the waste at the county, and the cost of the CPI index involved with them providing the recycling service. So everything has been, every action taken by this commission on matters pertaining to salaries and everything, with the exception of now one issue, because the other remaining issue was the tutoring program, which you have approved formally via a resolution. There is one issue, and that is the salary of the city attorney, and some minor issues that may occur between now and the 17th, and the meeting of the 17th. That being said, a memorandum was issued by my office, and a tentative budget was delivered to you all over the weekend. My memo is dated September 8th, 2014, which is for the tentative budget. And that being said, it should be noted that the millage rate stays the same. However, it is particularly important that we publicly announce, to comply with the statutory guidelines, that even if our millage rate stays the same, the increase in property taxes, as minor as it may be for some of us who enjoy the Save Our Homes project, some residents will see a tax increase, because the millage is affected by the overall assessment values given to all of our properties by Miami-Dade County. It takes into account comparable sales in the area. It takes land value, even commercial land acquisitions. All that goes into play, and basically it's an overall assessment of how real estate is doing, which it is making a comeback. That being said, the millage rate is 5.8858 for the general fund, plus the 1 mil dedicated to the West Miami Recreation Center to fund your recreation and playground department, as it's called by ordinance 133. It does trigger a notice of tax increase as published by the Department of Revenue guidelines, and again, it is to basically address the issue of the assessed values. If the tentative budget is approved this evening as submitted, then we will be obligated or mandated by law to publish a quarter-page ad in the upcoming neighbors section for Sunday, which is a 1/4 page budget ad, which is a notice of tax increase, and adjacent to that is a budget summary ad. The budget summary ad is an adjacent ads, and it breaks down your different divisions, your different departments, and basically summarizes the budget for the benefit of the public. We've had some issues, and I call them setbacks. The Alliance for Aging reduced our funding by approximately $30,828, triggering an increase from general fund as a cash contribution to the center. So, minor things have happened along the way over the last 45 days that have triggered some changes. The changes in your budget are highlighted in yellow, and we have projected our expenses to come in as close as possible based on the numbers we have today. And obviously, we've gone through this. We presented to you in detail an 8 or 10-page memorandum back in July, followed by this supplemental information. And if there are any questions, there is no proposed increase to the water or sewer rates. There are no proposed increases to the sanitation, the garbage collection at this time, and no millage rate increase proposed. I welcome your questions, and basically that concludes my presentation. The total budget as presented this evening has a general fund total of $5,250,079, which is a 12.78% increase over last year's. That is primarily triggered by the use of impact fees coming into the general fund from some developments that we have in the pipeline, a slight increase triggered by real estate and property taxes, and other categories like sales tax where a spike in receipts has been noticed. So all this is included in your budget.
Okay. Any comments from the commission? Any comments, any suggestions, any question? Okay, I have some. As you heard, each of us sat down with the manager, sat down with staff to discuss the budget. And I just going to tell you my concerns. And Ms. Aguilar knows this because we had discussions about this. One of the things, and by the way, you have done an excellent job, and I know that probably there's nowhere to change or make changes in the budget, but my concern is that from day one, since I've been here, is to build up the reserve. And that's something that the reserves at one point were almost nothing, and we were at the verge of bankruptcy, but we have worked very, very hard to build up that reserve. And one of the things that I'm not totally happy about it is that we're taking from reserve to balance the budget. So
Yes,
so that's one of my concerns. And once again, I'm going to ask you that question, but this time I'm going to ask you in public, okay? Because we had this conversation. What is it that we can do, okay? it is a concern, because it's something, one thing about, that you see about myself is I don't change my mind, I don't flip-flop, I stay true to my cause, and sometimes I say things that might not be politically correct, but I always defend what I think in my heart is the best for the city, and I don't look at it as, and I hate to use the word politician, because a lot of people make decisions based on if they're going to get elected next time or not. And my concern is what I know in my heart, what is best for the city. So that's one of my concerns. And the other one is that I know that we have some increases in the water from the county. And I know this might not be a popular thing among people because, but I believe that if we get increases, those increases need to be passed on to the citizen. And I know you're going to clarify that. And I know you have some reasons for it, but I have to say my part. And again, I know that's not a very popular item because a lot of people want to just receive for free. But the fact is that I'm one of those persons that truly believes that you need to teach people how to fish and not give them the fish. That's the way that I was brought up. That's the way that I have seen nations succeed in life, and the countries that go a different route, and or cities or whoever that gives and gives, and there's no boundaries. It really messes up the human sense of fighting for what is best for them. Because to me, handouts are, they're not in my book. Again, I also understand that we have senior citizens and we have people that really need to be helped. And I'm a true believer that those people, but not across the board, not across the board. The people that really need help, they need to be identified. We have done that in the past by having, what I was called the double homestead exemption and things like that. So those are two of the concerns that I have. And then I have some questions. I know there's an item for training, and I can't remember where that page is right now.
Right here, because I would like to talk about that.
Oh, okay. No, I that's why I said, does anybody have any? So I'm going to go through my list and then jump in. I believe, I like for things to be clear, and this is my opinion only. This is my opinion, and then I want to hear from the rest of you. If an item is placed like that, I don't like for an item to, I think it needs to be discussed. I think, in all fairness, if we add something to the budget for training, in my opinion, it should be split it equally across the board.
I agree.
In all fairness, not as needed. I think, and then that's what I think. If we're gonna keep that item, which I don't know if we should keep it. That's one of those items that I have sat on the fence in the past, and I know we had discussions and we agreed to leave it for now, just in case we need it. But if we need it, I think it should be split equally among everybody, all, including myself.
I agree.
The next item that I have, and I'll leave you with this last one. We haven't discussed, I know it will be a good thing for next meeting, when we have a full commission, that you be prepared to discuss, if possible, the salary of the city attorney, okay? But I want to leave you with this thought before we conclude this. Keep in mind a couple of things. Our city attorney is probably one of the longest serving, not oldest, remember, I want to clarify, serving as city attorney in the city of Miami or Dade County.
Miami-Dade County.
Miami-Dade County. He brings institutional knowledge. That's not very common. He has an extensive network, resources with the Office of the Attorney General and other government entities. He's there 24/7, at least for me, he is there 24/7, available to myself, and I believe he's available to the rest of the commission as well. So it could be Saturday and Sunday. His wife might not be happy about that, but he's available. He works very well with the city manager and the city clerk. That, to me, that is very important. And most of all, very loyal to our city, because I know he has had other opportunities to be someplace else, and he has decided to stay with us. And one last thing, Madam Manager, I want you to look into, what other city attorneys make in other cities comparable to ours in budget and et cetera. You know what I'm talking about. And those are my comments. And I know Commissioner Candida
Well,
Blanca.
you just took my word.
No, okay, I did, I'm sorry.
It's okay, it's okay. I had a question with Mrs. Aguilar.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I think he already answered it. Because you all know.
Bring the
I
mic
don't-
to you, please.
As you all know, I donate my representation to the police department.
I forgot one, so go ahead.
Okay. So I was it's in October is going to be a conference which I would like to attend. And I was going to ask you how much I was going to be covered for this. So he already answered. And I think that was a very good idea to be split between the five of us. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
Also, I asked Mrs. Aguilar for a sympathy letter. Please. Go ahead.
Yes, Commissioner Candida Blanca suggested today, in a very noble cause on her part, that the city commission may want to entertain the possibility of sending 2 letters of condolences to both families that are grieving after the beheading of the 2 American journalists. And the families are local families, and I think, as she expressed today, we are an elected body. We're here to serve the people, but there needs to be a moment of compassion, and I think that a letter would be probably the most fitting thing that
Right.
we could do at this time. So I wanted to, I was waiting for either the good of the order or for you to bring it up so that we can
Please.
expand on that. So
mean,
if I may.
How can I forget about that? I forget about that. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Very well.
Very
thought.
noble cause,
Very
very
noble.
noble gesture. So
Anything else?
I'm writing down the notes from
Okay.
everyone, and then
I-
I'll come back and address your concerns. I'm writing everyone's notes down and.
I
take it from
got
there.
one more.
Yes, Mayor.
In reference to the money that we have not used that we haven't spent, I would like to take, like every year, I donate, many of you do, I would like to donate mine to, now I blank, to the culture, festival. So, something to give back to the community. Ms. Aguilar, do you know how much I have left out of
Yes.
the 2,400?
You probably have about $2,250 left. You
Okay.
haven't really used much. Am I correct?
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Everybody's getting a printout on Wednesday with a memo addressed to each one of you individually as to where you sit as we get closer now to the end of the fiscal year, where you sit with your representation account, so that we know how much to transfer in before the final budget is presented to
I
you.
have another question. Day Tallahassee,
Yes, ma'am.
how it's going to be split also?
Very good question.
Day
Ms. Bell.
days. Give me 1 second and I will
Day
address that.
Tallahassee.
It's a
Okay.
total of $4,000.
Day Days in Tallahassee usually runs the package, many years ago, it started at about $700 per person. Right now, it's running approximately $1,000 or $1,100 for a 2-day event to include airfare, hotel, registration to the conferences, the meals, and the whole 2-day event, and the transportation to and from the Capitol building, the buses that basically provide the transportation for all the elected officials and members of the administration who attend. We generally put in the budget enough to cover 3 members or expenses to Tallahassee. I don't think I've ever seen in 31 years a time where all 5 commissioners have attended the days. This is something that may be of interest to the mayor and other members of the city commission, or may not. We just basically put a line item with a place marker, and we assume that 3 people are going to go to days. Some years, you have 1 or 2 members going, some other years, you have 3 or 4 members going to
Maybe we have
days.
5 this time.
Exactly. Now, if we were to have 5
Right.
traveling members to Tallahassee this coming April 2015, then we must increase that allocation in the budget, because you're talking about a minimum of $5,500 if all 5 members have intentions to travel to Tallahassee.
If, okay,
If,
thank you.
Okay, but to answer the question that the commissioner had, how is that a split? That's,
the days in Tallahassee, this line item assumes, and it assumes because it's based on interest, on scheduling, on a number of issues. It assumes that at least 3 members of the commission will be traveling. If it's more than 3, then it's gonna, we're gonna spend all the money in the budget. And if it's less than 3, whatever budget dollars are not spent, revert back to the general fund in reserves, whether it's $500 or $1,000. Unless there is an over expenditure in another category, the charter allows the manager's office to make the actual transfers within the same division without commission approval. But we're very cautious on that.
Go ahead.
We're very cautious with that, and at the end, usually 3 months prior to the closing of the fiscal year, the manager's office presents to you a resolution that would authorize us to make the necessary inter-fund transfers before the auditors come in here, and basically that's in preparation of the audit so that we can give them a clean trial balance.
okay, so you said about 1,500, once I open the public hearing, please.
I put your hat up. Sorry.
No. You said 1,500?
$1,100. The trip to Tallahassee is, the last one, it was $1,100 per person. And this line item here is only for the members of the city commission. If the manager travels to Tallahassee, then there is, under the manager's executive budget, there is a provision to cover Dade County days in Tallahassee. Actually, it's a $950 allocation that we placed in the budget. But the manager has $1,000 for conference attendance and training as well. So generally, it's assumed by those 2 line items.
And anything we can use the conference and training money.
It's, again, I was asked to consider placing conference and training money in the budget by a commissioner, and I did. How it is used or how it is structured is basically the will of the commission.
Like we decide, split 5 and 5.
Whatever you all decide.
Yeah, we decide that.
So we have 4,000 for Tallahassee, so
44.
4,400 or 40?
You have $4,000
$4,000,
for your
okay.
day's travels.
Okay.
That does not include any out-of-pocket expenses, it includes 1 event meal, 1 evening event that is not a meal, where your senators and state representatives gather, and basically it's like a networking session that they have in Tallahassee. So you have to add to that some expenses for some meals and breakfast. And basically what we do is we're going to be guided by the statute on reimbursement for travels on a per diem as set by the statute, as Mr. Villalobos has already pointed us to.
What I would like to suggest, instead of increasing that, is to, as Commissioner Blanca suggested, I think we should split it in 5 equal part, and if there's money needed to that trip to Tallahassee, be taken from the conference.
Right,
Uh,
conference training.
Instead of, I just, read that I don't want to take any more money out of the reserve, so I don't want to contradict myself by adding more items to the budget. So it's basically taking one from the other, which is already in the budget. That's my suggestion. Again, that's my suggestion, and then we'll all decide at the end if that's something that you.
So if I understand you correctly, what you are leaning towards is taking the $2,000 and dividing that equally into all the members of the city commission.
4,000.
Comes out to $400 per member.
5 person will go, if not, that'll be fine.
Right, but that's days.
Yeah.
Days,
I'm
yeah.
sorry, I thought
Days,
you were.
day,
I'm
4,000.
I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about conference and training, you're talking about days.
Whatever, let's say if all 5 go to Tallahassee, whatever money is
Needed,
needed, even if all 5 don't go, that money should be taken from training.
I see, so you're saying exhaust the days.
And whatever money's not
assuming-
left from the Tallahassee should revert back to the general fund. In the past, the money that is allocated to us, we have elected to, donate it to different departments or revert back to the general funds or whatever. That's not the case with Tallahassee money. That's the case.
Okay, so you're saying, assuming all 5 members go, we have $4,000 in a days Tallahassee account, that if we fall short to fund the 5 commissioners traveling to Tallahassee, that we can take the money in increments of $400 per member of the city commission to offset those expenses.
That's correct. That's my opinion.
I
I'm not
agree.
speaking for the entire board,
if
and
we
I want to
don't,
hear.
if we don't all go, the training divided by 5, if we don't use it, we send it to the general fund. We return it to the general fund.
So let me just be sure, we're going to leave that line item, conference and training, there
Yes.
as $2,000.
That's my
No,
suggestion.
no,
but,
no, just that's what I just want to make sure. We're leaving it as a line item for $2,000, because that's kind of broad, conference and training.
Right.
And then we will use it if necessary for days Tallahassee. If we don't, whatever's left goes to the general funds. It will not stay there as a line item to be used arbitrarily for other conference and training.
That is correct.
That's, okay.
So to understand this correctly, and I apologize, this is basically an extension to your days Tallahassee account in the event that you have 5 members of the city commission
Right.
attending days. If
If
you
not-
don't, then it is to be used for conference and training purposes at $400 maximum per member of the city commission.
Correct.
And any money not used from days will revert back to the general
General
fund at the end of next fiscal year, correct?
No,
No.
no.
I'm
I'm
sorry.
saying both items be split into 5.
Oh, okay,
I don't know if
I
I
got
said it any clearer than that. Okay.
okay, so $6,000 and divide that into your 5 members of
That
the
is
city
correct.
commission. Okay,
That's my opinion. Again, I just want to make sure that, okay. Vice Mayor, do you agree? Okay, all right.
thank you, and I'm sorry it took
And
me,
Commissioner Rodriguez, you agree? Commissioner Blanca?
Yes.
Okay, so you got
So-
full board.
okay.
May I clarify, if I understood from
$1,200.
Rodriguez, because we're drifting here, that in the case of, you're looking to supplement and not go into reserves.
Can you, okay, I said that I haven't opened the public hearing, but please, come to the microphone, let's follow proper order then.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Point of clarification. I'm gonna give you a point of clarification.
Okay.
So, go ahead. State your name. Yeah.
Elliot Asbell, 15345 Southwest 77th Court, Palmetto Bay, Florida, 33157. First, I'd like to clarify and get this in my mind, and then I'd like to say what I think. Okay? But I want to make sure I'm understanding. I thought that this was a two-pronged thing. One, you have Days Day, and you have a budget line right now, okay? Secondarily, you have conferences and training. The underlying intent, as I thought, was to take no more from reserves, and to look at this account, which makes you vulnerable, perhaps. So therefore, this is really one account, and what you're saying is that it be subsidized. I thought I heard, I forget the 400 each, I thought I heard an expectation on the part, and maybe I'm incorrect, on the part of Commissioner Rodriguez. You spend what you spend on days, maybe supplemented, maybe not supplemented, okay? Because you don't know how many people are going. On the other hand, when all is said and done, a certain amount of money is going to remain in the training and conference line. I thought Commissioner Rodriguez was suggesting maybe we don't need conference and training, and if in fact at the end of the day, as we go to days, there is $600 that hasn't been used to supplement, or even the full amount that's in your budget line, that line disappears and that money I thought this is what you were saying, that goes back to the general fund. In other words, I believe that the intention, although various degrees or intensity, is no more attacking reserve. Yes, Days Day and the issue of conferences and/or training is maybe that's something that should be reviewed, perhaps could be lowered, or perhaps could be done away. That's how I interpreted the goal. Am I misstating what you think?
Those were my thoughts.
Okay. So this is different than the manager understood, because I'm just saying, notwithstanding anyone else, it appears that Commissioner Rodriguez is questioning the need for all days and the need for conferences. And I'll get to what I think in a moment. And she does not want to go into reserves to fund these two lines, which are now going to be a combined line, okay? And that at the end of the day, if anything is left, it's not at the discretion of this commissioner or that commissioner to say, okay, I want to attend this League of Cities meeting, or I want to attend this, or I want to attend. No, the conference line is going to be eliminated. Whatever's there is going to be kicked into the general fund. Am I correct?
What's going on?
Okay, so I'm just saying that's different than the mayor was speaking. That's different than Commissioner Blanco was speaking, and it's different for whatever Mr. Blanes added, although you were all in sync in terms of not wanting to hit reserves. And your initial request was, can we look at any expense when you address the manager to lower the possibility of not taking money from reserve? So I see this all coming together, and I just wanted to make sure I understood the position of Commissioner Rodriguez. She's free to change it, you're free to override her, but I think the record should be clear as to what her recommendation was.
And I may have misunderstood if that's not what my colleagues were saying, if that's what I understood the way we were going.
Okay, and I'm saying there were crossovers, and I don't think it got in big capital letters underlined. And I think now, for the record, your position is clearer, and I don't want to state your position. I'm saying this is what I thought your position was, and I wanted clarification. Now, Mr. Mayor, could you indulge me in terms of my view?
Sure.
Okay. Let's,
Make it short.
as short as I can. Like you, Mr. Mayor, okay, I am a budget hawk. You all know me for years and years and years. I have always been a budget hawk. However, I understand realities and pragmatism and what you can do and what you can't do, and step by step as opposed to all at once, and various things. Let me, institutional knowledge for those that do not remember. When I first started coming to commission meetings, the budget had no line. This is many years ago. 0 line for days. And I, at that point in my life, believed it was important in terms of being able to lobby Tallahassee and whatever. At that particular year, I volunteered and donated to the city, I believe it was the $600 figure, the manager, times 5 is my recollection, but that may be it. Because I thought it was important, honestly. Many years have gone by. We have watched what Tallahassee has done. We have lobbyists. I don't need to tell you how much our lobbying efforts vis-a-vis our lobbyists, notwithstanding his attempts, notwithstanding how many visits and how many days there are, how much we have gotten from Tallahassee at the end, okay? And really not a hell of a lot. I believe the main purpose served today, and I will say this about conferences also, is to flatter the egos and increase the networking ability of the commissioners and/or the mayor and whatever. I believe other than that, it accomplishes very little. But networking's important, okay? But I'm telling you, I was at the extreme with this process, and now I'm at Z, okay? Now, in conjunction with attacking reserves, we just passed admirably, and it's something I would endorse. But again, it goes against me, principle-wise, in terms of not building our reserves. We've been there before. We're going this way. I think we should continue to go this way, and not, okay, but it needs to be tempered. Here, we have a proposal. I fully endorse it. But you've now approved $5,000, okay? I'm saying in order to balance that off and not go backwards in terms of the reserves, okay? Personally, I think we should do away with the data count. I think we should do away with the representational account. And this goes back to my same recommendation at the time, many years ago, when we were talking about commissioners getting salaries, which I'm personally in favor for, but that's a whole different issue. And I think we should keep to a minimum attacking the reserves. And therefore, I would say that to move as little injury as possible, and that is to set up a fund that entitles the mayor and/or his designee, okay, to attend conferences or meetings, which your conference line talks about, and/or all data. I think it's fallacious and ridiculous for the expense. Last year, I remember, without mentioning names, we had an issue here where there was a particular commissioner, and it's going to happen again, with a particular commissioner who out of pocket, and this and that and whatever, and started off asking for X, and then we wound up coming down Y to this formula that we just talked about. We don't need to repeat history, okay? We don't need to enhance anyone's egos. You're all wonderful people. If you don't think enough of yourselves that you think you need other people to pat you on the back, that's your problem, okay? The taxpayers shouldn't have to pay for that personality conflict. You're all wonderful, okay? And you should know that, and if you don't, I'm telling you all and reinforce it, and let's set, my recommendation would be to take the date funds and the conference funds, one number which would take care of the mayor or his designee. In conjunction, we have the manager going from her own line, and you have in conjunction, who we all talk about, Rebecca Sosa definitely going. I don't think that you need more knocking on doors and handshakes and whatever. If those three people are not capable of accomplishing what you want to accomplish, then it's not going to be accomplished. Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you. Oops, that didn't work. Pardon me. My exuberance is taken over, and I apologize to everybody. I think we need to have learned from experience, and simply because we get into, and I remind you, I funded it to begin with thinking it was important. The only thing that makes me palatable in terms of going into the reserves, which I personally wouldn't want to do to a nickel, okay? I would want to do this 5,000. I'm now looking to get back that 5,000 as relates to these two lines, is where my mind is at. The only thing that makes me even palatable to thinking it is that because we do have the prognosis, okay, which is legitimate, of more income from more development, which was not the case over the last 5 years or so. So I'm willing to temper it because I don't think we're going to throw the city into that much jeopardy as long as we keep it as little as possible. But what I'm afraid of, you're wonderful. I don't need anyone's ego being flattered. I want the city served. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Well, now that the public hearing is open, anybody else wants to speak? Okay,
Mr. Asbell?
back to the table. Okay, any other questions, suggestions? Anybody has,
Well,
I don't want to use the word change their mind.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'll make things easier. I'm not gonna go. So, not all five will be going, so that,
And I think as my being the newest, I don't need to go. I need to let more experienced that would be able to bring more back to the table. So I will also forego my trip.
I mean, if I have to go, I will go, because after all, I'm the vice mayor, and if I need to go, I will be there. But, you know, in the past, the city has always been well represented by you, Madam Manager, and the mayor, and other commissioners, so I have not seen the need for me to go. But if I do need to go, I will go.
And on that subject, there's been years that I haven't gone because it was not necessary. So, I think this conversation started a little different, and it's, you know, it is true, we need to balance the budget, but it's always, when I come to this table, I think of fairness and justice and equality, and that's why that conversation started, about, you know, if an item comes to the table of expenditure, it should be equal, I believe. And if you read the charter still today, you know, it says that the mayor is the person that should attend all events and represent the city and so on. And all of you know that I don't follow that rule because I think we all represent the city, not only me. And in many opportunities you have been invited. I invite you all the time, and you have come with me. Or sometimes I haven't been able to go, and you know, some of you have gone to different events representing the city. So, but unfortunately, not all of us think alike. You know, sometimes from time to time we have different people that think a little different, and so that's why we have rules and regulations, and that's why we try to do that. And in the effort of applying those rules and regulations and fairness and equality, or whatever you want to call it, other things suffer. But I'm willing to contemplate, as a matter of fact, the item for training was never there in the budget to begin with. So from, as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't need to be there. I mean, if it's okay with you.
It's okay with me.
But what we need to do is, if the fund for Tallahassee stays as $4,000, or whatever it happens to be, it's not a total of $4,000. It's a trip to Tallahassee, and per person, and one single person cannot use the entire $4,000. And if we leave it that way, because Mr. Attorney says that that's the way it has to be left, then it has to come to the table before anybody takes any trips anywhere. So we decide among ourselves before any expenditure takes place. I mean, that's basically, I can't say any clearer than that.
May I, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
Two things. There's a charter amendment that's going to resolve all those issues. And if you're going to allow the, within the budget, to allocate certain funds to go to Tallahassee, I do, I'm not in accord with Commissioner Rodriguez when she said, I don't have the experience, so therefore I'm not going to go. You know, the only way that you're going to get experience is to be faced with the issues and to be exposed to the issues. So I believe that it would be, if you're going to approve it, I think that you ought to consider going as well.
Well, I just want to be sure that the people that go are those that are going to be qualified to bring back the most to our city. So if
But eventually, in order for you to be exposed to whether or not you can assist bringing the money,
of course, I
you
understand.
have to be exposed to
I
it.
understand.
Well, Commissioner Rodriguez, I'm going to tell you this, and I don't know if this is a compliment or not, but for a new commissioner, you're pretty persistent. I don't know if you have the experience or not, but you're pretty persistent, and when things come to the table, that you bring things to the table that I know of, they have been approved. So you're
I believe
very,
in
so
something.
you're very
I'm gonna be
persistent.
persistent. I believe in
When
something.
you
I'm
say
gonna
your
be
mind to
persistent.
something,
Ain't true.
you know,
Very true.
and so take it as a
I
compliment,
thank you, I will.
okay?
I will, thank you.
All right, so I'm in agreement with Mr.
I
Attorney.
knew it.
You knew it, huh?
She might be the one that needs to go up there.
Anyway.
We'll leave that open, open for discussion.
Okay, well, we gotta move
Like
forward.
this,
We gotta
if
move
you're all
forward.
going to approve it, I think that you should consider Commissioner Rodriguez going, okay?
Okay,
My opinion.
let's go back to the items. Let's go back to the item and let's vote on it, so we have a clear direction for the manager. Okay, do you want to leave the item of, what it was called, the,
Days,
no,
Conference
forget
and
about this day for a moment.
Conference and training.
The new item, which is the conference and training, do you want to leave that in the budget, yes or no?
No,
Commissioner, no, okay. Commissioner Rodriguez.
I believe you recommended that we do not, correct?
right.
Did I understand you
No,
correctly?
I want to hear from you, and then I will tell you how I feel about it. Right now, to be honest,
We don't need.
I'm sitting on the fence, and more likely to answer your question,
Okay.
we can do away with it.
We have our representation, we have our commission expenses. I believe that probably covers our needs,
That is-
my opinion.
Okay?
Mr. Mayor, how much is that line item? For?
$2,000.
$2,000.
$1,000. And if we don't use it, it goes back to general fund.
Exactly.
We don't need it.
We've never had it, right?
No.
No, not before.
We had it about 8 years ago, and it was eliminated in subsequent years. We had it for a period of time, I believe, from 2004 to 2008. 2006 to 2008.
So be it. I'm in agreement. If you all say that you want to leave it out. I'll-
Okay, so there's a, let's leave it out.
So that's $2,000 that we reduce taking from reserves to balance the budget. That would bring taking from reserves, that would bring down the $2,000 would bring us to $78,677, taking from reserves to balance the budget with the expenses as noted by your budget.
Okay? Now, in reference to the Tallahassee, my recommendation, this is my recommendation only, I need to hear from you, is to leave it in.
The days,
The days A.
okay?
Most of the time, some of that money goes back to the reserve, so.
Yes, that is correct, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
But that will be days A, not several trips to Tallahassee. Let's clarify that.
Days is one event, it's an overnight trip,
Mhm.
and it takes place once a year only.
That is correct. So that money cannot be used for anything else.
Right.
Okay. Are we in agreement with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Mayor, to add to that, we can take another $1,000 from the manager's training and conference money, which is never used anyways. I mean, unless there's something that comes up. The manager has an expense account of $1,500. Any overage, I mean, I never spend the $1,500. So take another $1,000 from that account to add, and that will bring down, you're taking from reserves another $1,000. So we're at $77,677. And then that'll leave us with $950 for the manager's days, and whatever the balance is, we'll take it from the expense account. It's not a big deal, but it adds.
Thank you.
It adds up.
Let me go back to my original statement about the money that I have. The culture. The cultural event.
Yes, sir.
We approve going for that with applying for a grant and
Yes.
matching dollars.
That is correct. The cultural and special events project scheduled for next March 2015 is a matching grant. The city has to put forth $3,750 that has already been approved by resolution of this commission, which we will be taking from either contingency or reserves at the end of September 30th of this year. if in fact you wish to donate your $2,200 from this year's budget, we have to basically accrue it and designate it, and if we get the grant, we will use it as a contribution to the grant. Am I correct, Mrs. Leon?
Okay. How will, if I take my money and put it back into reserve, okay, will that help the budget better?
That will also reduce taking from reserves by another $2,200, give or take.
Okay, so let's do that.
So we're at 75,400 and, I'm sorry. I'm blind. We're at $75,427 taking from reserves.
Okay?
Correct, Mrs. Leon?
Okay, that's all I have. Anybody else? All right, let's go through the items. Anything else, Ms. Aguilar?
May I address the issues that you brought up, or would you like for all the commissioners to bring up their issues now? And then I can...
I think everybody has.
A lot of the ones I had are yours. so-
Okay, so we're in agreement, which is great.
Okay. If I may, Mr. Mayor, we, instead of donating it in your excess commission representation account, donating it to the cultural events, we're going to go ahead and reduce the need of, from taking more money from reserves. So we've addressed the issue of taking from reserves. However, it should be noted that even though we have found $5,000 or $4,000 right now where we can tighten the belt, I believe that we still are going to have to take from reserves to balance the budget.
So we made an effort.
Exactly.
Correct? Okay.
Yes, sir.
And you know, and I feel, as Mr. Asbel mentioned, I mean, I don't feel that terrible about it because the near future looks bright. So
Yes.
therefore, you know, everything is a gamble, but it looks bright. So
Yes,
the
sir.
near future.
The near future. Hopefully, the very near future. The city is not recommending any water rate increase at this time because we have been supplied with information from Miami-Dade County. Mr. Penna has been attending meetings that suggest that we will be able to cover our bills that are going to become due to WASA for the amount of water in terms of gallons of what they have allotted for citywide use. If those numbers are correct, and they're done by independent forensic auditors that make the projection for them, if those numbers are correct, we should be able to cover our bills and our expenses associated with the water department, and we should see a small surplus at the end of the day, which is excellent in building reserves in the water fund. The water fund was and should continue to be your cash cow. However, we understand that we have big issues involving our lines with the water department, and those are issues that we must address. And I think the city's taken a huge step because we have been granted $200,000 to conduct our first aggressive phase of surveying our system to see where the bulk of the leaks are. However, Mr. Penna could probably testify to the fact that over the last 6 or 8 months, they have done massive water leak mitigation, but we also know that that's going to apply pressure to other areas. So we have a water system that needs repair and attention and replacement very soon. But we believe that at this time, we will be able to cover our debt service to the county. And we can proceed with the state money that's coming in the pipeline, we can proceed to assess the entire system and take a good look of what the future holds for us in terms of repair and/or replacement. So that's the issue of the water increases. So at this time, I don't think we need to pass it on to the residents at this time.
Okay.
We've addressed the training issue. You have the issue of the salary of the city attorney, and I know you've mentioned some of the qualities that we have in our city attorney, and I could not agree with you more, Mr. Mayor. And you also have requested a survey from other cities comparable in size, perhaps, and in demographics, so that you can have a better assessment of where you're headed. It should be noted that the final budget hearing is scheduled for September 17th, and at that time, it would be a good idea if you want to wait for the full commission to, as you stated, to address this issue then, and we should have something back, provided that other cities respond. So I believe that concludes the items and the points that you've covered.
That is correct. Okay. With that, can you, Madam Clerk, can you read Resolution D?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Item 4D, resolution of
Wait.
the
Well, no,
city.
I did close the public hearing. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You
Go
did
ahead.
close the public hearing. Resolution of the City of West Miami, Florida, establishing the 2014 tentative millage rates upon all real and personal property within the city limits for the payment of the amounts appropriated in the 2014-15 tentative budget by Mayor and City Commission.
Motion?
Need a second?
Second.
Okay. I have a first and a second. Can you call the vote, please?
Just Commissioner Rodriguez has the
Yes.
vote. Commissioner Blanca.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blanes.
Yes.
Mayor Mujina.
Yes.
4-0, item passes.
Okay.
Next
Mr.
item.
Attorney, can you guide me over here, because
We did the.
yeah, we did item E already,
We did
so,
that already.
okay. Can you read item F?
Item F, resolution adopting the tentative budget for fiscal year 2014-15 by Mayor and City Commission.
Motion?
Second.
Okay, call the vote, please.
Commissioner Blanca, you vote.
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blanes.
Yes.
Mayor Mujina.
Yes.
4-0, item passes.
Item G?
Item 4E, resolution of the City of West Miami, Florida, adopting the tentative Water Enterprise Fund budget for the year 2014-15 in the sum of $635,109.00 by Mayor and City Commission.
Need a motion?
Motion?
Second.
Okay. Can you call the vote, please?
This Commissioner Blanca,
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blanes,
Vice Mayor?
Yes, sorry.
Mayor Mujina.
Yes.
4-0, item passes.
Go to the order.
Mr. Mayor, I would like, if you allowed me, to bring to your attention an emergency item that was addressed to us today in the afternoon to my office and to the city managers, and is related to the use of the community center as an early voting site for the elections of November 4th, 2014. To give you a little bit of background on the matter, my office and the city manager's office, we were contacted by the elections department by Marian Rivera. She is the polling place and the early voting coordinator. We were contacted by her on about March of this year, where she expressed her, the desire of the department to due to a recent legislation change, that the community center could be used as an early voting site. We, at that time, they visited the site, they liked that community center, and we expressed our willingness to have the community center maybe on voting on election date, but not too much as an early voting site, because it requires the relocation of the city, our community center activities, the seniors. And at that time, we addressed that matter with the elections department. Now, I received a call today in the afternoon where we learned that we were included in the program for early voting sites, that actually there is a delivery of equipment already set for October 17th, and we were not prepared for that since March, when the supervisor of elections and this early voting coordinator, Miriam Rivera, they came to the site. They agreed that it was a great location. Since that time, we haven't been in contact until today, when we learned that we were part of the process of early voting. Early voting starts on October 20th until November the 2nd, which is a 14-day period where the community center, it is their intention to use the community center as an early voting site. I'm submitting this to your consideration since it would bring so many other issues to the table, as who's gonna, clean the community center, who's gonna, arrange for parking, and some other issues that that are coming with the early voting, process. I just got a message from the elections department, and actually I'm informing this also to the city manager, that the ballpark figure you gave Jamilate from the elections department was tentatively approved by the elections department. So at this point, I don't know how to proceed. I'm submitting this to your consideration because our intention was to provide the community center to make it available like for election day, not for early voting. Of course, we can make arrangements and maybe relocate the seniors to the Rebecca Sosa building, but there are some other activities that in so much coordination needed that I don't know if it's gonna be a feasible decision at this point. So
Decision is made.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Mr. Attorney, do we decide if indeed the election department can use that facility?
Well, the question is that a request, or is this some sort of covenant that we have with the elections department?
If I may, Mr. Villalobos, the election department was out and about in the community because they wanted to find centers that were centrally located so that people would come out
We
to
have
vote.
that. We heard that. That's,
Right.
we want to know if
Now-
it's up to us to okay this from happening.
In other words,
Well, the answer, the question that I have is that, to your knowledge, Madam Clerk, since you're the supervisor of election, do we have a covenant with them that
No.
forces us to have,
the answer is no.
well, we don't have to acquiesce to the request if we don't want to.
So I'll tell you right now,
If we
I'm
don't-
against
If we
it.
don't,
I don't think that's a good idea. I think, the seniors will be displaced for 14 or 15 days. There's other activities, other expenses. They can find another place.
We would, and as stated by the city clerk, we would make arrangements to relocate them to the Rebecca Sosa multipurpose facility building where
Is
they
that
can
feasible?
come. That's doable for as long as they're out by 1:30, which is usually the end of their schedule. I think that 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Well, can we take it one at a time? One at a time. I got Mr. Penna over here. I want to listen to Mr. Penna first. Mr. Penna,
Jim's got a-
and anybody that wants to speak on the subject,
From what I
before
gather,
we make a decision here.
good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. From what I gather from the clerk is that they already published us as a site.
Exactly, And that is because
That's a
there
big
is a
problem.
state, there
It's
is
a
a,
tentative schedule. They have to submit it to the state soon. This Yamilet person from the elections department couldn't give me the deadline, but it's not, it's a tentative
So we
schedule.
could still be withdrawn.
I'm gonna get in contact with them tomorrow. But they included us like if it was a done deal.
Tell them we don't want it.
And the reality is that we were not contacted by them since March.
Well, the problem is not just the seniors. The community center is rented out on Saturdays and Sundays,
that is correct.
and early voting works on Saturdays and Sundays.
That is correct.
So we have commitments with other private folks for the use of the center. So there's
We
no way
checked.
that-
If we
I
don't have a
understand
contractual-
that.
Excuse me, Mayor, if we don't have a contractual obligation with them, I don't think that it's up to them to decide, especially when we have prior commitments. We just simply cannot say, we're gonna break contracts that already exist. And so, and I
Okay,
think.
can we take one issue at a time? Okay.
Yeah.
The question, okay, has this been published?
The calendar has been tentatively published by Miami-Dade County Elections.
To who? Who has viewed this?
I don't
Not the general
know
public.
whether the clerk of the court or the Board of County Commissioners, I don't know.
But not the public?
Not
Not
right
the
now.
general voter?
That, we're
Not-
not sure.
Not the
Not
general
sure.
voter? Okay,
Well-
that's key. Not the general voter? No?
I
The answer is
can't
no?
answer
or-
that, Mr. Mayor, we don't
I
have
think, I
that.
think that's a very good question. Okay,
That hasn't been published.
okay, all right. Anything else, Mr. Penna? Because I want to hear from
That's
from Jim.
Our other commitments.
Jim, and I want to, no, I'm sorry, Marilyn, you were first. What are your thoughts?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, members of the Commission. Last year, when we stated that, when we transported the seniors to the Renaissance, no, not to the Renaissance, to the Rebecca Sosa's, to the recreation, we had a big problem with the Alliance. We have to notify them at least 15 days in advance and make sure that we put in writing how we're going to transport the meals, because we had a lot of problems last year. Greater Miami Cater didn't charge us additional money for the meals because they know us for many years, but those meals are individual, like homebound. That'll cost us about $3 and, believe, 40 cents. And right now, we're paying $2.75. And that is my problem, that we don't have the budget to pay for those individual lunch meals. And I don't want to have the same issues I had last year when we had renovation with the Alliance for Aging. That's very important to us because it's going to cost us more. We're going to have less people. A lot of people come from other places on A Street. We're going to have to pick them up. We don't know the time that these seniors are going to be dropped off by the Dade County bus, because remember, they are dropped off the bus. They take the bus, some of them, on 8th Street, and they just walk few miles over, not even a mile. But in the and last year we had an issue with that. A lot of seniors walk to the multipurpose because we didn't have a schedule. We don't have their cell. We don't have phone where they can contact us. That is a big problem.
Mr. Mayor, if I may?
Yes.
Marilyn, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. I know, Jim, you have your objections as well. I know that some concern has been expressed by the city clerk, and obviously, the issue of a contractual obligation is there. There is a law, and I don't know, I fail to know whether it's a county law or a state law, whereby the Board of County Commissioner has instructed their supervisor of elections to find a community center. And unfortunately, because of the time that this call occurred late this afternoon, before this meeting, I was unable to make a courtesy call to our District 6 Commissioner's office. I would respectfully disagree with our department directors and obviously our supervisor of elections, and I understand the challenges with moving all this around. But I believe that out of respect for the district commissioner and out of respect for the citizens who live in this area and people that are accustomed to coming here, I think that it would be a major mistake asking the county to take their early voting site to another venue for many reasons. I believe we have a chairwoman that loves the city with a passion, and she's always there when we knock on her door for things that she takes care of in terms of funding and opening doors with the county. I think we need to take all that into consideration because, again, we go back to the issue of building relationships and establishing networks. And I, for one, know where my loyalties are, and that is to the mayor and city commission, but we are a working group and we rely and depend on the county. That being said, Mr. Geswicki runs the recreation center, the day-to-day affairs, and I understand that kids get there at 2 o'clock. We have the early group coming in. Mr. Geswicki, am I correct? We have 2 o'clock because the smaller children from the elementary school get to the rec earlier. Then we have the 3 o'clock group, which is your older kids that arrive to the rec. Now, we have a 15-day window of opportunity. We're talking about October 20th, Marilyn, that we have ample time to notify the Alliance for Aging and notify the caterer so that they can make the delivery accommodations to the multi-purpose facility building. I would not close the window to this because you are elected by the people and these are your constituents, and of course we're going to have people from other places. Are we going to be inconvenienced? Yes, tremendously. I don't hide, but will there be a greater benefit? And I believe that there will. And
I think I have the solution to this whole problem,
yes, sir.
okay? Where we don't have to contact the Alliance for Aging, we don't have to worry about having the lack of money and the children and the seniors being transported. Have it here.
We can't.
Why not?
The county will not consider this venue here. We had it here.
Yes, we did. Why
And
can't they
we
do it
offered,
again?
because the law has changed and they have to go the community center route.
Well, I, for one, I'm not in agreement at all whatsoever. You know, we're all about quality of life.
Yes, sir.
Service, but especially to our seniors, you know, that are our VIPs here in this city. And, you know, I realize what you're saying about our District 6 Commissioner, but I think she would agree that service and quality of life should come first.
We have been surprised by this issue.
Yeah, we got a call very late this afternoon.
I frankly don't have the answer. That facility is a county facility, isn't that?
That, I'm sorry?
They also have a library here where they can have it at. Why don't they have it at the library?
I mean, according to them, back in March, they couldn't use the library. They were trying to incorporate new centers, and because of this, the community center is such a great location, and based on complaints by constituents that the city of West Miami didn't have an early voting site, that's why they approached us and came to the community center and came to us back in March. So at
You know,
this point-
government is always inconveniencing the residents of this county, one way or another, through taxation or through doing construction at the wrong times of the day, and, you know, you name it.
I know.
And this would be just one more.
I agree with
You know,
you, sir.
this is going to be, you know,
Disruptive.
disruptive to the many seniors, to the many children, and, you know, I mean, really, we got to really weigh here what's more important. You know, they can find another place, okay, but the seniors and the children cannot. So, you know, I don't see why they can't have it here. They had it once here.
They can't, they will not, because the law will not allow them to do so.
Okay, well, then they can go somewhere else then.
Okay,
And I'm not going to vote in the agreement of that.
okay.
But,
Okay,
Yeah.
Vice Mayor, we heard.
Okay.
We know how you stand.
All right.
With all due respect, I want to hear from Madam Manager, I want to hear from Jim. I want to hear his concern because I like to make an informed decision based on, you know, everybody that works with the city and I'm in agreement with you, Vice Mayor. Seniors, when you change the routines, things go out of whack. I totally understand.
We might even be sued.
No, don't worry about it. Jim?
I have 2 points. One is I agree with Marilyn about disrupting the normal flow for seniors. They're used to being in the same place, eating at the same time, and being picked up by the bus same time, and any disruption causes confusion. So I agree with her on that point. The other thing is, I don't have a school board calendar with me, but if there's any days where there's no school in that time, then we would have the kids there the entire day,
Very
along
valid.
with the seniors. And it may or may not exist. I don't have the calendar with me, but a teacher's work day, teacher planning day, or early release days, we would have the kids there for an extra time all day. And that would be a bit of a tough one, especially on a bad weather day. On a good day, we could have the kids outside, but sometimes you don't want to have a senior getting knocked over by a kid that's running or getting hit by a football, and so if they get out at 2, we've done it before, but as Marilyn said, it's a disruption. But the other thing I'm concerned about, and I would have to check the school calendar to see if there's any days where we would have the kids there the entire day, and that would put the seniors and the kids in the same place at the same time.
And you will have
Thank you.
Halloween also.
Okay, any other comments? Oh, okay, we heard from
I have a
staff.
question, and Jim, if
Go ahead,
you
Commissioner.
don't mind.
Jim?
The multi-purpose facility is much larger than our community center.
Correct.
Is it feasible to do the early voting there, and we could separate the rooms, leaving one
No.
for early voting and the other portion for the kids, so that the two would not interact? Because early voting, it's sporadic. You may not have a lot
By
of...
law, it's not a community center. They want community centers.
A community center. Why would that be considered a community center? I don't know.
We don't
what-
service
what
seniors.
It would,
What classifies a community
But-
center a community center?
I don't know what the county guidelines are.
I'm just thinking it's larger, that way you would not have the
Again,
children and the
we-
seniors at the same time.
we
could
got-
separate the two.
Well, we would have the children and the voters then.
There are
No,
some,
I'm just throwing that out there. We could, separate the rooms where the voting would take place only in one room, and the children obviously will not be allowed in there. Leave perhaps the back room for the children. They could go in through the back door, so that there would be no interaction between the children and the voters. Just throwing it out there to see if it's...
We do that on general election day.
We need very
I
quiet
was going to
children.
say, there was a general election there, I thought.
And when that happens, there's no room for parents to pick up their children in the parking spaces.
Okay.
If we do that for a complete 2 weeks, it's going to be very difficult for parents to stop, because our parking spaces are already taken by 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 election people, plus my staff.
Okay.
And, there's things that, for one day we can put up, but for 2 weeks, it would probably impact, our kids and the parents that pick them up.
for
Okay.
the record, there are, based on the early voting schedule for the November 4th election, there are other sites that are not community center, although there was a major emphasis in the community center being one of the authorized sites for this. Again,
We don't know
this
why,
is
though.
what the county is asking for.
Okay.
Doesn't mean we have to accommodate them. I understand that we have to mobilize seniors, catering, children, the park,
Well, it sounds
cancel
it sounds to
events.
me like this is done in the favor of the election workers. They're going to want bathrooms, they're going to want a sink, they're going to want a kitchen, they're going to, they're going to want to be comfortable. That's why they don't want to do it here. Because, this is a community center. I don't know why it's not,
We offered, they came here back in March. We have an email dated March 24th with Ms.
tell
Rivero.
them they can have the commission.
And
Okay,
They
can
can't
I make a
have-
suggestion? We can be here discussing this all night, and we will not in agreement. Okay, when is our next meeting?
on the 17th,
The 17th. Okay.
When do you have to know by?
When do you not?
I'm gonna contact them tomorrow to see if, to at least to let them know of the outcome of this meeting. I can, follow up and give you a report by tomorrow afternoon after we contact the Elections Department. And, if you, decide to bring or postpone this item until the September 17th
Right.
to be
Yes.
considered at that time, after we gather.
Or
all the
if we need to
details.
conduct a special meeting, but I don't think we're ready. I think we need to do a lot of homework, and to be really informed, because this is like a total surprise.
Right.
Let me say a couple of things. Like Madam Manager mentioned, in the greater good, you cannot forget that this country is built upon democracy, and we encourage people to vote. And so just keep that on the back. That's the main focus of this country. So we got to think about that, okay? Everything else spins around it. I know our cities are important, our kids are important, everything is important, but I think we cannot make an informed decision until we have the following information, okay? Notice from the Alliance from Aging. We need to look at that schedule, and if we have events that have been scheduled with a main commitment to those, we need to
There are rental reservations, but no deposits, no paperwork.
well,
Tentative
all
reservations.
I'm saying is, look at all of that.
They have,
Look at all of that,
I checked.
you know,
Days, no school days.
Yes, the school
The
schedule.
The
school
school
day.
schedule is important,
the
very
school's
important.
schedule. Isn't Halloween around that time?
Yes.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can have more
Yeah.
than one.
Halloween
But
is,
that's off the top of my head, but check it out.
Yeah.
I also suggest, since everybody rightfully is concerned about Commissioner Sosa, I totally agree with the manager. Just as this is a surprise to this commission and our manager and our clerk, I would guess this was not 100% presented to Commissioner Sosa. You have a separate department acting. Mr. Mayor, if nothing else in terms of politics, I believe you should give Commissioner Sosa a call personally, and you should dialogue with her about what was presented tonight, and pointedly ask and say the feedback you have, it's up in the air, pointedly ask her, what is her reaction? And if she were to say, I think democracy is most important, I think this is gonna make me look bad as a commissioner, then that's a different way. It might change my mind. But absent that, there's nothing that would change my mind.
Thank you. Anything else for the good of the order?
The election working.
Anything else? Yes.
On the school board calendar, John Michael pulled it up on his smartphone. There is a teacher planning day on October 24th. It's a Friday. And we will be a voting site anyway. On November 4th, we're a general election site, so the rec is going to be where they hold the election on November 4th. But we're ready for that one day. But on the 24th, that would be a day where the kids and the early voters. I don't know what the turnout will be. It's not a presidential election. Maybe it won't be that big of a crowd of people around anyway. Might not be that crowded.
Thank you.
Yeah, early voting is usually sporadic, they don't come all
Right.
at one time, so.
But,
that's the
okay,
part.
we have been surprised with this. I personally, I don't like to make a quick decision unless I'm fully informed. And I will thank you for that comment. I will have a dialogue with the Commissioner Sosa. Anything else for the good of the order? Okay, all in favor, motion to adjourn? Say aye.
Aye.
Good night.
I
Good night.
Venga, nosotros.